Hi, everyone. I'm Keith Mathis with the Mathis Group. We are a premier ATP with the Project Management Institute. Welcome to the video today on 7 minutes to PMP mastery. Our video specifics today is going to talk about understanding contracts for predictive projects. We've already created another video on understanding contracts for agile projects. And so if you're wanting to watch that, that has already been produced. You can find that on our site. Contracts defined. This slide is in both sets of slides so that you understand how PMI looks at contracts. So this is a foundational slide for both. So contracts are legally binding agreements between a buyer and a seller that define what will be delivered, how performance will be measured, how payment will happen, and how risk is shared. For the PMP exam, do not think of contracts only as legal paperwork. Think of them as project control tools. A contract clarifies scope, schedule, costs, responsibilities, acceptance criteria, change procedures, dispute resolutions, and closure requirements. The project manager does not usually own the legal authority to rewrite contracts alone. The PM manages contract performance, monitors seller work, documents issues, follows the procurement management plan, and works with procurement, legal, the sponsor, and stakeholders when contract changes or claims arise. So why this topic matters on the PMP test. Contracts connect directly to the exam content outline because PMI expects project managers to manage procurement, risk, change, stakeholders, communications, and governance. A contract question may appear to be a vendor issue. It could appear to be a scope issue, a risk issue, or even a conflict issue. PMI tests contracts because poor contract handling can cause cost overruns, scope disputes, schedule delays, compliance failures, and damaged business relationships. Some key concepts that you have to know. First off, fixed price contracts, they transfer more cost risk to the seller. The buyer pays an agreed price for defined work. It's best when the scope is crystal clear. Cost reimbursable contracts transfer more cost risk to the buyer. So the buyer reimburses allowable costs and may pay a fee, best when the scope is uncertain or exploratory. And then time and materials is looked at by PMI as the worst type of contract, and it's known as a hybrid. And they might even use hybrid in the test question. The buyer pays for labor, time, and materials used. They are flexible, but do become risky without a ceiling price. Strong oversight or clear acceptance rules are needed. Common standard contract types. So these are those that have been around for a while. And so once again, we have another video for agile contracts that just focuses on those. So the first and most common is a firm fixed price contract. You set the price and the seller absorbs all the overruns if they go above that price. Fixed price incentive fee. This is your performance contract. The seller can earn incentives for meeting targets. Fixed price economic price adjustment. It allows price adjustments for inflation and market changes. This will typically be a multi-year contract with the pricing changing every so often in those years. So fixed price puts the pressure on the vendor, not on the customer, because the vendor is taking the risk if there's an overrun. Cost plus fixed fee. Reimbursed cost plus a fixed fee, cost plus incentive fee, the fee changes based on performance targets, and the cost plus award fee, the buyer subjectively awards the fee based on performance. Cost plus puts the pressure on the customer because they're taking the bigger risk. So if we have a cost plus fixed fee, that means that fee does not change. They typically will set this up that, let's say the budget is $300,000 and $50,000 is the fixed fee for the vendor. However, when the project finished, it ended up being $600,000. How much do you pay the vendor? A fixed fee does not change. So that's a trick question. Whatever they start with, they end with on that fee for that vendor, regardless of what the total price ends up escalating to. The cost plus incentive fee is your performance, and so that performance is going to be in that test question. And so they're going to be paying for that performance. Even though the customer is taking on the risk, they're going to pay extra for that performance. The next is going to be the cost award fee. The cost plus award fee is a buyer subjectively awards a fee based on performance. And so what you'll see in this particular question, it's going to be the word subjectively, or subjective is typically going to be in the question. It'll typically have a team of people who are going to award a percentage or all of the award fee to that vendor if they did a good job. And then the last one you see here is called time and materials. You're going to see that they pay the vendor based on hourly rates. And so they often will have a not to exceed clause in there as well, but you're going to see the hourly rates. If it comes across as hourly, it typically is going to be time and materials. So let's talk about the fixed price contracts. In predictive projects, contracts often have detailed scope requirements, schedules, milestones, formal change control. The exam may test whether the PM follows the contract and change control process before approving extra work or payment. In a fixed price contract, remember, this is a part of command and control. So if it isn't a predictive project, then you're going to follow change control. You're going to follow change control. You're going to follow what your contract says. The PMI mindset for this is that when a contract issue appears, first review the contract, procurement management plan, and documented facts. Do not immediately escalate or punish the seller or terminate the contract or approve payment outside of the agreed process. They typically will give you a scenario, and one of those will be cancel the contract. And a lot of times people will choose that. You're a long way from canceling the contract. Canceling the contract is one of the last things you'll do. So PMI expects the PM to understand the agreement before acting, document the seller's response, communicate with the seller professionally, use the contract change control process for any changes, involve procurement or legal when contractual authority is needed, protect the project while maintaining a collaborative relationship, resolve issues at the lowest appropriate level before escalating. And so a servant leader still respects contracts. Collaboration does not mean ignoring terms, and enforcement does not mean becoming adversarial. All of these are just following the contract. So we don't have to be a jerk. We don't have to be angry in order to enforce the contract. The PMP style scenario question. So let's give you one of those. So a construction project is 55% complete. The project manager receives a request from a key stakeholder to add a new reporting dashboard. The stakeholder says it is minor. And so it should be included because it will improve executive visibility. The project is under a predictive life cycle, and the scope, schedule, and cost baselines have already been approved. What should the project manager do first? A, ask the team to add the dashboard because it improves stakeholder satisfaction. B, reject the request because the scope baseline has already been approved. C, submit the request through the formal change control process for impact analysis. Or D, update the project management plan and inform the sponsor. So pick your answer here. So your answer should have been C. You submit the request through the formal change control process for impact analysis. In a predictive project, once the scope, schedule, and cost baselines are approved, all changes go through formal integrated change control. The project manager should not approve, reject, or implement the change alone. The first step is to document the request and assess its impact on the scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, risk, and stakeholders before a decision is made. This fits the PMP exam scenario based on choosing the best next action, especially within the process domain. So why are the others are wrong? So A, ask the team to add the dashboard because it improves stakeholder satisfaction. That's wrong because stakeholder satisfaction matters, but unauthorized scope changes create scope creep. B, reject the request because the scope baseline has already been approved. That's wrong because the project manager should not reject a requested change without analysis. Some changes may be valuable if formally approved. And then D, update the project management plan and inform the sponsor. That's going to be wrong because the plan is updated only after the change is approved, not before. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's helped you in the area of contracts. We do PMP exam prep boot camps every other month virtually. I teach those myself. I'd love to have you in one of those. So thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next. Bye now.